Yeah, you're quite right. The Jewish community here in Australia, watching what's happened in DC over the last couple of days, have obviously drawn the logical conclusion that there's no reason why it couldn't happen here, particularly with so much of the rhetoric being so incendiary and so similar to what's occurred over there. I wanted to ask you, Eylon, about a UN humanitarian chief who falsely claimed last week that 14,000 babies in Gaza would die within 48 hours if aid didn't reach the Gaza Strip. Here's what he said.
This is baby food, baby nutrition. There are 14,000 babies that will die in the next 48 hours unless we can reach them. This is not food that Hamas are going to steal. No, we run the risk of looting. We run the risks of being hit as part of the Israeli military offensive.
Now, Eylon, this claim was reported around the world. It made Israel sound like absolute monsters. 14,000 babies dead in 48 hours. But of course, it was never true, was it?
Has Tom Fletcher resigned yet? Has any government ordered his resignation for spreading the biggest piece of fake news this year that sparked a media panic around the world? It's ridiculous. You know, there was a report that claimed that if nothing changes, 14,000 children may face malnutrition in the space of a year, which is terrible. But Tom Fletcher took that and spun it into 14,000. Ridiculous allegation. Pause for a second to think how utterly stupid it sounded. But this is a problem we have with the United Nations. Sometimes they spread completely false information. And as Winston Churchill said, a lie can get all the way around the world before the truth is able to pull its pants up. You know, the problem we're dealing with is there are many people who want to believe the worst about Israel. So you know what? Let me say on the broadcast here to Mr. Fletcher, thank you very much. Thank you, because you've proven what I have been trying to argue for the last 2 years, that there is no lie so ridiculous that if it's spread, people are not going to believe it about Israel. And I think this needs to be a cautionary tale for people. Sometimes when you hear news about Israel, take a deep breath and investigate it, because sometimes it's complete nonsense.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. And in this case, I mean, it's a pretty big accusation to say, you know, the deaths of babies. It's just shocking. Now, Eylon, look, it's been 19 months of the war, and there are reports that Benjamin Netanyahu has committed to a new plan for a long-term ground invasion and prolonged Israeli occupation of Gaza, which has angered Israel's European allies. It's also dividing Israelis. Eylon, I guess, you know, the first issue is obviously getting back hostages. The second is what happens to Gaza moving forward. Can you explain Netanyahu's plan, and do you agree with it?
Israeli society is now really divided over the course of the war. This has been going on for 19 months, and Israelis want this war to be over. But they know this war needs to be over with the return of the hostages and the defeat of the Hamas regime that invaded with that barbaric massacre on October 7th. Because if this isn't the last Gaza war, there will be a next Gaza war. And the next Gaza war will be worse because Hamas will conclude the West will keep saving it from the wars that it started. Now, there are at least in the dungeons of Gaza right now, and there's a real risk that Hamas could put a bullet in their heads at any moment. Now, Hamas is demanding a ransom for their release. It wants thousands of terrorists released from jail and an end of the war with guarantees that it can go back to building its tunnels and missiles, preparing for the next war. And Israeli society is divided. Some people say, pay any price, do what you have to do, get the hostages out. Other people say, including the government, we can't afford that ransom. The most important thing is to defeat Hamas. And those who say the only way we're going to get the hostages out is by putting military pressure on Hamas to force it to release the hostages. And I think the demand we need to hear from the whole world right now against Hamas is this war can end tomorrow, exactly the same way. Go into exile, release the hostages, and we can put this horrible war behind us and move forward, hopefully, to a future of peace in our region.
Well, we're all absolutely praying for that, Eylon Levy. Thank you for your time tonight, and we, as always, wish you all the best.